Tonight is our first night of our Pathways to Abundance. I'm super excited about this, and I'm glad that we're doing this so that we can all get together and talk about the skills necessary to help us all create a GEIA organization and really to reach out for our dreams. And so for the next, I don't even know how many weeks it's going to be. It's going to be ongoing. I think we'll probably go through the topics and we'll come back and go through them again for the new people who join us. So the way I visualize it, when I close my eyes and I really visualize what's going to happen, it's going to give everybody an opportunity to create and reach their dreams. I really believe that, and I'm excited more than I've ever been before. And the way I look at it is there's really three things. First of all is to learn, and then to do, and then to teach. That's how this will go. So many of you that I'm looking at on the screen will become part of the teaching part of it. And so as we go through this over the next few weeks, the topics I'll just tell you some of the topics we're going to talk about. Comp plan, developing your stories, finding people, inviting, presenting, follow-up, sponsoring, getting someone off to a fast start, peak performance, and in each one of those categories, there will be subcategories that we'll be focusing in on. And I imagine it's probably going to take 35 to 40 minutes each week. And we'll have someone new each week, some expert in that area teaching it. And I want this to be an open communication, not just one person talking. So as we do this, we'll be opening up for questions and thoughts. And if you have an idea that can really help bring something home within that training, that would be great. Now, you can imagine that doing these topics once a week, that's going to draw out the training over a long period of time. And I know some of you are probably thinking, hey, I want to go faster than that. And so if you really want to get after it and you want to learn these skills and become a professional, I'm going to suggest that you get Eric Worre's book, Go Pro. Eric Worre does a great job of focusing in on some of the topics, many of the topics that we're going to be covering in this training. And I'm sure Donald in his training on Monday mornings, Eric will be talking specifically about many of these skills. And so I just suggest everybody gets that book. It's an awesome book. Does a great job of talking about network marketing and what makes network marketing so good, but he gets into specifics. So I would say go to Amazon and just order. It's really inexpensive. Do you agree with me, Donald? Just shake your head. Yes. You liar. That's funny.
Actually, if you go to his website and you order the book, they had a special. It was $6.95. You got the book. You got the audio files, and then if you wanted to, you could download it. So Amazon's not the best place to get it. It's actually Eric's site.
Okay.
Network Marketing Pro is the best place to get it.
Great, and I think getting both together. I love listening to the CDs. He has 3 CDs, and I even give those CDs to prospects to listen to because he does such a great job in talking about network marketing. It's really, really good. Thanks, Donald. Appreciate that. Okay, so let's get to our first topic tonight. And tonight, for me, I'm going to handle tonight because I really wanted to talk about what I think is foundational to create success with GEIA. And it's been foundational in my career in network marketing and some of the other things that I've done. And to me, if we don't work on this, then all the weeks following this won't matter. It really won't. So I'm hoping that you'll all really get into this with me tonight because it really is important. And what we're going to talk about is vision and the why. Now, you'll notice I said vision and the why as two different things, and it's kind of a different way for me to look at this. And as many of you know who've worked with me, I've always thought of the why as one of the most important things that we could define. Why do we want to do this? What do we want to accomplish? And recently I've had a little bit of a different thought about the why. And I watched a video from Ray Higdon that I'm going to show you tonight, and he talks about vision and why, and I think he does a really, really good job of describing the difference between the two and talking about how important both of those are. So what I want to do first is I want to show this video, and then we'll come back and talk about the vision and the why, and we'll get your thoughts about that and maybe share some ideas about what we've done in the past and what we can do in the future. So let me go ahead and get this video going. Here we go. Here we go.
Would you say that getting real estate magazines would help build vision? They can. There's two dynamics to a vision, okay? And so one is infinitely more important than the other. And so the two dynamics are, what is it that I want? And so that encompasses like people's whys. So like, all the, when leaders say you got to have a why that makes you cry. Well, I don't think that's as powerful as it could be, because a why that makes you cry is usually commercially digestible and external. So a why that makes you cry could be that I want to, retire my spouse. I want to, help the homeless. I want to provide clean drinking water in Kenya. It's something commercially digestible, meaning when others hear of it, they're like, oh man, yeah, that's good. That's good stuff, right? And they give you a little pat on the back. And so it's commercially digestible. I'm not saying anything negative. I'm not saying those things are bad. I'm not saying they're bad, but it's just not as powerful as what I consider an actual vision. An actual vision is, who do you want to become? When you step into the room, how do you want that room to react to you? When people talk about you, what do you want them to say? How do you want, when you look in the mirror, what embodies the traits of the person you want to be looking back at you? Okay? And so the vision of who you want to become, for me, is more powerful than the things that I can have or the things that I can do. So like the things I can have, dream home, fast car, whatever, right? Travel around the world. Those are things that you can do, things that you can have, but who are you being, right? Who are you becoming? Who are you? So the vision of who you want to become. And the Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith, he says, pain pushes you until a vision pulls you. And I can assure you, a vision of what you have, like a dream home or, whatever, Bitcoin or whatever you dream of having, right? I don't think that's compelling enough for most people to pull you through the tough times. But who you want to become, I want to become someone that impacts society in a way that's never been impacted before. I want to become the type of person that is able to eradicate certain traits in society, right? So there's if you have a vision of who you want to become and the type of person you want to be, I think that has the power to pull you through the tough times. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that I've met over the years that have had the same why for 5 years. I want to retire my spouse, and they've gotten claps on the back for this for 5 years. Why hasn't that happened yet? Maybe it's because they get a payoff every time they say it. Whereas the vision of who you want to become, I want to become the type of person who's able to retire my spouse. That's a different story. That's a different dynamic. That's a distinction. And the distinction is that I want to grow into that versus I want to just do that. Okay, I want to have that. And so vision to me, it's actually the first session that we're having at Top Earner Academy next Friday in Orlando at Top Earner Academy. And so our very first session is on vision, because I think it's the most important thing. It's more important than your ability to overcome objections, your ability to, what do I say to someone on Facebook? Like all of that little stuff is very easy when you have posture and when you have a vision that is dictating your consistency. And one very, very easy way to tell if you have a vision or not is, are you consistent? Are you consistent? I was telling Rankmakers this morning, for 8 years, we have sent an email every day, except for maybe 3 days, maybe 4, but not 5. Okay, so 3 or 4 days in 8 years, we have sent an email out to our email list, and they're not automated. We write them every day. We write them out every single day. And a lot of times it's a podcast or a video or a blog post or, whatever else, but every day, right? You can tell your level of vision by how consistently you show up. If you show up once a month and you prospect one person, you completely lack a vision for what you want to become. I mean, you really do. Because a vision, and someone quoted me on this, but a vision is a ruthless dictator. So I do not have an option. I have to do what I do. It's a ruthless dictator, man. I'm in complete servitude to my vision. Forces me to do the things that I have to do. I have to show up and do this. It's not oh man, I probably should do a video today. I should probably do a lot. I don't have an option. I mean, it grabs me by my spine, picks me into the air and sets me down and says, dance, boy, right? And that's your vision, if properly constructed, is a ruthless dictator that has you run through walls, that has you consistent every single day. And it's not like you have to remind yourself. I don't have to put a Post-it note, make impact on someone today. I have to. My vision dictates it. I can't put my head on the pillow unless I go and make an impact, unless I pour value into the marketplace. I'm unable to. It's a ruthless, I'm handcuffed here. I'm in chains. And so that's when you know you have a vision, is if you are showing up every single day, whether someone reminds you to or not, whether someone's looking over your shoulder or not. There's not one day where my wife is like, hey, you probably should do a video or something, right? No one tells me that. And that can be the good and the bad of working for yourself. Because if you're at a job and you don't do anything to, progress in your job, then someone will probably tap you on the shoulder and fire you, or say, hey, get to work, wake up. You work for yourself. No one's there to do that. No one's knocking on my door. Hey, just making sure you're working in there. It's my vision. That's the only thing that's driving me.
You can find more great marketing, prospecting, and recruiting tips just
All right. Am I back with you? Can you guys? Okay, good. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. This video boggled my mind. I don't know. Have you ever seen anything and your mind just kind of goes like that, and it's messed up something? And I'm going to tell you why. Because I've been focused on helping people to create their vision, but it's about creating their vision of their why and what they want, and not so much about who they want to become. And when I saw this video, I looked back on my career and the things that I've done in my life, and I've had this natural ability to create a vision about what I want to accomplish. And I've done it in many different ways, especially in network marketing. I mean, it was something I learned very early on. And because I was able to create that vision and want things bad enough that I wanted to achieve, it helped me to stay around. And like you said, helps you to do the things necessary to do it. But when I really look at when I achieved things in a bigger way, it always included who I wanted to be, but I didn't really realize it that way. And I realize now that that's such an important piece of the puzzle that we want to put together as we talk about vision and our why. And I want to show you something really quickly that we did probably a couple of years ago. I can't remember. But, okay, so what you're looking at, this is Kedzie. Kedzie, hope you're smiling as I show this. But I don't know, it might have been 2 years ago, we were really into figuring out what we wanted in life. What did we want to accomplish? And so I asked people to really get in and figure out what were the top three things that they wanted. And for Kedzie, it was financial security for her whole life, time to explore the world, building her Gia business, and enjoying the ranch lifestyle. And the idea was, of course, to have pictures and put it on the wall, and we did a couple other things with it. And so I did this with, might have been, I don't know, 20 or 30 people, and I put these little pictures together. So that's Kedzie, and here's Doc. Let's see if I can, okay, so here's Doc, and Doc's was pretty simple. It was to bring his wife home from working and to give her the home of her dreams. And so these two pictures we decided would be a good way for him to remind him of that. And still today, I mean, it's been a couple of years, but if you talk to Doc and ask him what he wants to accomplish, the why would be exactly like this. Now, this last one I'm going to show you was Sue Johnson. And the way I did this is I had conversations with each person, really trying to focus in to find out what they really wanted. And so Sue wanted to have a bikini body. She wanted to have freedom. And so, of course, the two pictures she chose were of those two things. And you can see the motorhome traveling up the road, and that kind of represented the freedom part. But there was something different about Sue's. She had this desire to become a raw ambassador, roots and wings. And when I say a raw ambassador, it wasn't just to be an ambassador to bring to bring Linda to town, she really wanted to become someone who could actually facilitate and help kids in that way. And so when you look at the pictures, and you can imagine Sue, if that was super important to her to have that happen, you can see how having this this vision be so important to her that she would go through and do just about anything to accomplish that. Now, I don't know if Sue was thinking about that, or how, because we weren't talking in terms of vision compared to the why. We were just including it all there, and I didn't really understand the difference. But I see how I hope you can see the difference between the three of these and how different it could be if we can all really work on who we want to become, as well as work on the why, the things that you want to accomplish, the things that you want to bring into your life, because I think they're both important. And so as I'm talking to you this, my mind is still scrambled about how to explain how to do that, but I'm hoping you can see how doable it is. And so what I'm going to suggest to you is to maybe even think about a time, like me, when I did it, it was just a natural thing. It just happened to me. So maybe there was a time in your life where you had this vision that you were going to become something. And maybe there was a time in your life when you had this vision that you were going to have something, that you wanted to have something really badly, and it became part of your why. And I'm just going to throw it out there to see if anybody has an experience like that that's happened to them in the past. Can you think of a time when you really wanted to become something, that you could see it, you could feel it? Like you said, you walk in the room, it's how people think about you. Anybody at all? Just unmute and let me know if that's ever happened that you can remember. Could be an athletic thing, or nobody?
Well, John, the weight loss thing that I went through, that was transformational for me, in that I knew it, I saw it, wanted to create it, and I thought about it every day. I thought about it every time I drove by Burger King. I had this old picture of me, and I infused it with a new picture of me, and it was about being. It was about being a winner.
So I can imagine. I saw the video. If you haven't seen Dave's video on that process, I think it's where do we record? We record that on one of our Monday night calls, I think, or something like that, Dave. But it's worth watching because he's got a great example of what we're talking about. He had the vision of becoming the person that he wanted to become. And I can imagine, Dave, you can explain that you probably had pictures in your mind of how people would react to you, how they would appreciate your effort and energy that you put into it. And can you explain some of that?
Yeah, well, and more important to me than the pictures, I had the pictures, but I had the emotion. I had the actual feeling of accomplishing it, of winning, of the results, how I was going to feel when I lost, the 20 pounds. That, for me, that's what drove me every day. I mean, every day that I drive by Burger King, and I'd normally pull in and get a crappy hamburger, fries, and a Coke, I just held on to that feeling. And I think it's the same thing with business, is when you really decide what you want to become, it starts to drive you. That emotion is releasing endorphins. You're getting dopamine, you're getting all those things, and that creates a pattern in your brain to build on top of it, and it just drives you.
I like the idea that it wasn't just pictures. And when I say pictures, it wasn't pictures like he was looking, it was in his mind pictures. Right. And having a vision, when I say having a vision, for me, it's like seeing the movie inside of your head about who you want to be. And that's what I think Dave is describing, and the feeling that comes from that. I can remember, and I've said this on a call or two, when I joined GIA, my expectation of myself was go from 0 to presidential director in the first month. And looking back, I was kind of crazy thinking about that. But this vision that I had it was really about who I was about to become. I was with another company for 11 years, and I was just kind of like the mediocre guy out there who's trotting along. When I joined GIA, I made a decision that I was going to be one of the leaders in the company. And so right away, I could, just like Dave could see the picture of what it was going to be, I saw myself a year from now, 2 years from now, walking across the stage, being Distributor of the Year. They had a car program. I could see myself, being awarded the car program and being able to help a lot of other people with the things that I would do. And I was lucky. I wasn't thinking about that was part of this idea that we're talking about tonight. It was just a natural thing. But that drove me from that moment when it started to today. My wife today looks at me and says, "Why are you doing another Zoom?" And it's not even a question. It's what I do. It's who I am. It doesn't even come to me that it's a question. It's just who I am. And so I'm hoping that tonight, watching this video and talking about this idea, that it's way more than the things that we want. And I know probably some of you are going, "Well, John, we all knew that already." And it's very possible that you did. But now, the way we're talking about it tonight, I'm hoping that you can all see that by focusing some energy on figuring out what your vision is for you, who you want to become, because all things are possible, I believe, in your life. And by the way, when I talk about vision, and I'm talking about vision and your why, I know we're in the context of Gia as we do this, but I say make it bigger than even Gia. Figure out who you want to become, and then figure out what things in your life can help you get there. And Gia can be one of those. There's no question about that. So, yeah, Ming?
John, could I just share a little bit with me too, what you were sharing, and Dave? One is when I went to my first GIA conference, and thank you for bringing that up because that wasn't the first thing that I thought of. The first thing I thought of is that actually having been in GIA since the beginning, ultimately, I mean, what happens physically is amazing, what happens financially is amazing, but the top thing is who I have become, or who I become, and who I help people see that they can become in the process has been far and away the most rewarding. And I think any one of us, who've been in GIA would say that's just the pinnacle experience. Well, I did also feel the same way. I went to my first GIA conference and I said, that's going to be me up there. I am going to be up there walking across this stage getting an award. And then something did happen partway through. Early on, I actually didn't have the vision that I could win a cruise, and I didn't win it. And I remember Dave and Kebra won it, and they went off on this cruise, and I was home, and I was like, what was going on? And in any case, I made up my mind then I was never not going to win a GIA contest, and so I haven't. But one of the things I really wanted to share today is something, and this is very, very personal, and I think but my testimonial has been, and my desire and my vision has been to show my 3 daughters that a mom can literally create financial freedom for a family working from home. And inside of that is understanding and having the experience that actually network marketing is not only a viable profession, but it is the ultimate profession. And I will just share recently that something has come true with that. And this is wild, but I have my 22-year-old daughter. She's not doing GIA, but she's now doing network marketing. And she is absolutely killing it with personal development. And she is transforming in who she is. And she's helping others. And I just have to say, it was so funny. I should have just been more specific about my vision that I wanted her in GIA Wellness.
That is funny.
You got to be specific about your vision.
It's interesting, though, that what you're saying is exactly what we're talking about tonight, the vision, the why, the main why, and I've heard you say that, and I appreciate when you say that, because I think so many other people would resonate with that, the reason why you're doing this. And you've done it. I mean, I've known you all these years, and I've seen your daughters grow up, and you've been consistent in doing that and showing them how a mom can do that. And what I want to say is that when you look at what we do, so there's the why, there's the how, and then there's the what. Many of us don't talk about the why, and maybe we're not clear on why we're doing this, but if Ming was talking to someone and she's so crystal clear on the why, that might be the first thing that she tells someone about GIA, why she's doing this. Hey, I work from home because I've always wanted to show my daughters and explain that to someone. And then she could talk about the how she does that through Gia and what we are all about. And people will be more attracted to what you are doing when you're clear on your vision and the things that you want to accomplish. Does that make sense, Ming?
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Thank you, John.
And when you look at some of the corporations out there who are the ones you know, like Apple, and I can name a couple other ones, that's how they've done it. Apple was like all about being something, and it attracted people to it, and it was about the reason. They were kind of on the edge, and they were proud of that, and that was a part about who, that was their why. And then they talked about the products. So as we're looking at our own businesses, getting clarity on who you want to become would be one of the first steps. And then also focusing in on the things that you want to accomplish. I was talking to Doc White about this today, and to this day, he still has a vision of his wife coming home from work. We actually have a date in December that that's going to happen. And he also has a vision for creating that new home for her. But now, after tonight, he's going to work on who he is going to become. And what will happen is that he will be unstoppable. That will be the one thing that will keep him going in the bad times, in the tough times. And I'm not saying I don't even like the word bad or tough. And where's Dagmar's on here somewhere. She's going to yell at me, and Kevin's going to yell at me. But the ups and downs will be leveled out because she's laughing. I see you, Dagmar. So the ups and downs will level out because it's who you are. It's like me. It's just like what I do. If nobody shows up, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to do it next week. It doesn't really matter. It's who we are. And so Doc is going to work on that, and I'm hoping all of you, as we take a look at this, that you'll do that. And then finally, that what you want to accomplish, those why ideas are still important, critically important. And I want us to have big dreams. That's the first thing that I wrote down, is to dream big. Don't limit yourself. Don't look at the past. The past doesn't equal the future. The things that we're going to do on this Zoom every single week are going to give you the skills necessary to do it. The things that Linda is helping with us on her Zooms and on her page are going to have a lot to do with what we're talking about tonight and help us to keep tuned into personal development. And then the products that we have, they're so needed, and so many people want to look younger and they want to have what we have. And when you combine all of those things together, I believe you could have it all. The key thing, though, is to really reach for the stars. No limitations. And Dave, would you back me up on this and just say yes about how important it is to dream big?
I watched the Simon Sinek video that you sent us. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest takeaways I got from it, and it's just so true, it said, to be a leader, you only need one thing, and that's followers. And you're not going to have followers. Followers want a direction, and they want to know where you're going. So create the vision and share it with your prospects. So I totally agree with you.
Good deal. Anybody else have a thought about this before we end tonight's call? Any experiences that you want to share that maybe you've had something close or similar? Doc?
You know, in the past, I've had some interesting successes. And I remember one where I was with an organization in the chiropractics, and, you know, we couldn't get awards on how many migraines we fixed or this or that and the other. So we would just get awards on the income, because they realized if you're going to create some income, we had to have results. So we did it that way. And so one month, Anita and I we wanted to get the $1 million award for that. And that meant you had to collect in that month $83,000, you know, to make that happen. So we are fired up with all the things you're talking about, had the vision. It was the last night of the month, and we were $2,500 short of making the award or reaching the goal. And so Anita's over there running the numbers again late at night, 10 or 11 o'clock at night, trying to see if she was off or anything. And so she heard the mail drop little door flop open, and she went to see what it was, and it was somebody just dropped an insurance check in for $2,500. Brad just didn't even hand it to anybody, just dropped it in the clinic through the mail slot that late at night. So we made the go. So that meant when we went up, and we had actually went through 10 levels to reach that particular month. So the interesting thing is the kids came up to the ceremony too, and so then they'd call you up for one level and you get a medallion to hang around your neck, and then the next level you'd get one. So by the time I got through, I had been up 10 times and had 10 medallions hanging around my neck. I've still got the plate somewhere. I think I've got one hanging up here on the wall, right over there at the top, right there. That's the $1 million award, the gold one. And so I've had some history, then I also had some disasters that we're recovering back through. So it's been an interesting ride, but I have made it happen, can make it happen again.
Well, I think that's a great story, and the truth is you can make it happen. It's all the things we're talking about tonight. And I think some of you have probably had sports situations where you've had this experience where you might join a team and you start to visualize what it would be like to be the winners, to be the champions. And I know Ming, I don't know if you're still here, but Ming was a serious horse jumper. And so I had a thought for you, Ming, that you might have had that experience where you visualize, you see about who you will become by competing. And I've had experiences like that in sports. Does that work for you?
Yep, it actually has. And also the other thing too, the exercise of literally like doing something before you've actually done it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think the final thought I had about this idea is when you begin to fall in love with someone and how that whole process works, where you begin to see the vision about who you will become, and you start seeing life differently. And I know that's happened to me with my wife, and that whole process of me seeing myself and seeing it over and over again, and that vision, there was no way it wasn't going to happen. And that's the kind of thing I think that we're talking about tonight, that kind of passion and that kind of love and that kind of just desire to become. So hopefully this was helpful. Recorded it. Oh, Sandy.
I don't know if this is what you want to hear, but anyway, when I started my Trellises, I went from a retail store to starting up my own business. And when I was married, he kind of did everything to make me fail at it. And the more he tried to make me fail, the more determined I was that I was going to make it. So when I opened up my doors, my first week, I had 2 clients. My second week, I had 13. My third week, I had 27. My fourth week, I had 42. And I opened this in September. And by the end of December, any money that was put into that business, I already had out. And I had 103 appointments a week when I said, I cannot take any more people. And that went on for quite a while. So there was like from Memorial Day to Labor Day, I wouldn't even take any more people. I put them on a waiting list. I had 22 people on that waiting list, and only 2 went someplace else. So I really had a taste of what it was, and there wasn't anything I couldn't do. And I don't know where that went. But that's my vision for this.
I really enjoy that story, and I think we might have to set up one of these Mondays so that you can tell us how you went from 0 to that many people in 4 weeks, because that sounds a little bit like network marketing and some of the things that we need.
It wasn't 4 weeks, but it was from September to Memorial Day.
Okay.
And every person that came to me got a free 15-minute appointment with a consultation, which took 45 minutes. So I wasn't getting paid for everything. But anyway, I had enough money where I paid cash for a car. It was like unbelievable.
Well, great story, Sandy. And I think if we all dig back, we can find those moments in time when we can remember, as Doc has and Sandy has and Ming and I know myself. And we've all been through those times when we've had that vision and we've created something significant. That's it. That's what I am hoping for. Everybody on with this tonight. Those people you will invite to join us in the weeks to come. The new people who will join us, who will have such a great advantage being tuned into the things that we have to offer. right now. And then I'm looking forward to, I don't know if I said this before, but I'm looking forward to an event in Las Vegas. It'll be the Pathways to Abundance event, going to be probably at the end of March, early April, that we're going to get together and celebrate like crazy and learn as much as we can. And it's going to be a good journey. So let me just say thank you to everybody for joining us and promoting tonight. I'll record this and it'll be on my YouTube site and also posted on the Geo Wellness Lifestyle so that you can share it with your teams. Thanks, guys.
Where are Linda's calls?
What's that?
Where are Linda's calls? Like the Thursday night ones? Where is that?
Linda's Thursday night, I've recorded one of those each night, and that's on the Vimeo page. So it's vimeo.com/iFitZone. And so they're all there. All righty? All right. Appreciate you guys. It's a great time to be a part of Geo Wellness. Have a great night.